Hello, and welcome back to the Females Thriving Over 30 podcast. And today we're going to talk about rejection and redirection. So, we're going to talk about when things don't quite go as you planned. Maybe there's something you really thought you wanted or you did really want that doesn't work out the way that you expected it to. But also redirection, and that sometimes these things happen for a reason and they redirect us into another journey in life and we end up doing something different. So, we're going to talk about the reality of how difficult it can be to feel like you're rejected, but also to trust that you are being redirected and that you're going to go into a new direction. So, how are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I can just like hear my cat outside like meowing. So I'm just thinking like, should I let her in or not? Because they're needy ones. Oh my goodness. I have one here that is sleeping, so that's good because he's the most annoying one. But I have the other one that is meowing outside. So I'm just gonna quickly open the door. Sorry guys.
Yes. Are you coming?
Open a little bit so she can come in if she wants to. But yeah, I'm good.
Your prints are looking fabulous, by the way. I've just
yes.
seen them properly behind you.
They look good, didn't?
Yeah. You look very good.
Really, really nice. Well, if you want one, just let me know.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
design
Well,
them
I'm
myself.
excited to have something behind me that isn't a plain wall
Yeah.
soon, hopefully. This is the best I can do right now.
Yeah. It's looking good. And then as we said, we will have an office reveal once you have it. So
Yes.
yeah. So how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Feeling good, getting tired. It's late for us here. We're doing the podcast. This episode is being recorded. It's now 9:15.
Yeah.
Which for me is quite late because
For
I
me
get
too.
woken up at like 5 a.m. I bet you get up early anyway, I bet, don't you?
I get up early because the cats just say like "Feed me."
I thought it just because you're so motivated, you'd be up and active every day.
I used to be. And this year I think like from the summer onwards, I have not really been feeling that motivated to hit the gym. I think like even though I had the pageant as kind of like my goal, I was not that motivated to like go to the gym as often. So I really want to try to get back onto that routine.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think what other things I can do. So it's not just going to the gym, lifting weights. See if I can just like mix it with maybe like some Pilates at home or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I just don't really want to get out of the house. It's too cold and it's rainy.
Yeah.
It's cold.
And I feel like you have to listen to your body and what feels good and right at
Yeah.
that time as well. Like if you're really feeling unmotivated, then maybe
Mm,
that's just not what you need right now.
yeah. I mean, I have to do it because now I just look at myself and I'm like, my muscles feel very flat and I don't like it. But I also don't want to work out. I want like a magic something that would be like, ping, there you
How
go.
heavy are your cats? You have two, right? Can you get
Yeah.
them both, one in each hand in the morning?
I
Do
have,
like however many of them.
I do have a whole equipment at home because from COVID, I have weights, I have everything.
Yeah.
It's just like waking up and being motivated. But yeah, I think the new year, that's when I'm saying, okay, now January. So now let's be a sloth for the rest of the year. And then January, we're going to start fresh. Let's do a proper mindset reset and go back.
Yeah, which kind of actually feeds in a little bit to today and what we're talking about, because sometimes you do need to have little check-ins with yourself, which I feel like is something that I never really did when I was younger. When you just like every so often you check in with yourself and think like, what are my goals? What do I want to be focusing on? What do I need to do for me? I feel like I just went through life without really. I just
you just went through life. Just like
I didn't
follow
really
whatever
think
happened.
like that. And the older I've got, the more I think to myself, like,
Mm-hmm.
right, let's check in. Like, where am I putting my energy? Where am I putting my efforts and my time?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I working towards? And am I doing what is right for me?
Yeah.
Should I be doing something else?
Yeah, because I guess like when we were younger, not many people talk about like what do you want other than what you have to do. What is the path that you need to follow? Where do you need to go if you want to be this or that? But never anybody has asked you, so how are you feeling? Do you really think that's where you need to go? Maybe what you thought you wanted is not what you actually want, and there is other avenues that you can pursue to achieve the same result.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think actually sometimes things don't go as planned. Like we were saying about like rejection and
Mhm.
redirection. Sometimes things don't go as you thought they might because it's not what you're meant to be doing. Or
Mhm.
maybe even subconsciously we don't fully give it our everything, even if sometimes we think we are, because
Mhm.
we know that maybe we don't actually want what's waiting on the
Yeah.
other side.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's definitely been times in my life where I feel like I've worked towards something because I felt like I should,
Mhm.
or because I'm one of those people that once I commit to something, I'm all in, and even if I change my mind, I won't back out. I'll carry on going
Yeah.
and do something.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work out because it's not really what's meant for us, and there's other
Yeah.
things.
And many times it doesn't work because you were meant not to be in that position and you have
Yeah,
actually dodged a bullet,
yeah,
even though you don't see
yeah,
it at that moment. So, yeah, I think
yeah,
we're just going to go and just talk about all of these and reflect a
yeah,
little bit maybe about some personal experiences and see if that will relate to anybody that might be going through similar situations, or
yeah,
they might not see kind of like a way out from the, funk that they're in and
yeah,
the plateau that they've reached.
yeah. I've got quite a fun one actually that I can start with that I've just thought of. Have I ever told you that I auditioned for the X Factor?
No.
So here we go. Let's start with this one.
Mhm.
So when I was young, I was into musical theatre. I used to be in pantomimes. I used to be in all the shows, and I used to do it all. I used to sing, I used to dance, I used to act. That was my thing,
Yeah.
and that's what I did like throughout all my teen years,
Mhm.
especially like every weekend I went to theatre school and stuff. And then it was when they took the age down to 15 for the first time, I think,
Mhm.
was just as I was 15. So my whole family went off to Manchester, and I went and I auditioned, and I got through the first round of the X Factor, and I got invited back for a second audition. And I remember after I went, my dad took me back and I had the second one, and then I didn't get through that one. And I remember at the
Mhm.
time feeling quite sad about it. On reflection, I'm so glad I never got on this telly because I would be so embarrassed.
What did you sing?
Because I was just, what did I sing? I sang, God, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to. It's like there, but I can't quite remember what it's
Oh yeah,
called.
you're
So
a,
I'll have to
a
think.
Fantasia. You don't remember?
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to think back to what it was.
Can you
But
sing
I
us a little bit
thought,
of something?
I'm not singing, no,
What?
because I can't sing. This is why I'm glad I never
Mm.
got through anymore. Because the only way I'd have got on is one of the ones that they do so that everyone can laugh at them, I think.
Yeah, yeah. No, you don't. You don't want to be viral because of that. You want to be viral for a good
Yeah.
thing.
I think like I was very confident and I could hold a tune,
Mhm.
which is probably what got me through the first one. Like I wasn't a bad singer at the time, but I also was never a great singer. You
Yeah,
know, it never would have turned out to be a career for me.
yeah.
So now I'm very glad upon reflection. I also auditioned for Skins when I was a teenager. The
The
TV show Skins.
what's that? Oh yeah, the TV show. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
where they
yeah.
were all at like college.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
were all very indie. I
Mhm.
auditioned for that as well, but I never would have got that. I was definitely not edgy enough to be in that show.
Why are we so similar, Jasmine?
Why? Tell me.
No, like we've said it a couple of times, right?
Yeah,
We started
yeah,
this very by chance together,
yeah,
we
yeah.
started getting to know each other quite a lot through the
Mhm.
podcast, and now I keep realizing that we are very, very similar.
Yeah,
I've no, I didn't audition for any X Factor or anything like that because there was something like that, but it was too many people. I don't like queues. I don't like crowds. It was too much. But there was like this audition, but for this kids group that they were trying to create.
Oh,
And I went and I auditioned for that little
yeah,
group and stuff.
yeah,
Had to sing a couple of songs and stuff. Didn't make it through because like I used to be in my school's choir
yeah,
and I was really good,
yeah,
really, really good. They were just putting me in there all the time. I was doing all the solos and stuff. So I was like, I can be in a
yeah,
group as well.
yeah.
But obviously, it's not the same thing singing in a choir than
Yeah,
having to sing in a group and perform and
yeah,
things like that. So
yeah,
I guess
yeah,
I was a little bit cringy when I was trying to do the dancing and everything like that. But I've always wanted to be,
yeah.
in the spotlight.
Yeah, and
Always
that's why
wanted
we're
to be.
here, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, as I said, like I wanted to be an actress. That's why I did in, the wrong career.
Well, I always wanted to go into theatre, and then it wasn't so much a rejection because I didn't end up auditioning
Mm-hmm.
for drama schools. But when I got to the end of sixth form, it was either drama school, theatre school, like dance school,
Mm-hmm.
or go to a university. And I chose a university at the
Yeah,
time because I was following the path of what I thought I should do,
exactly, exactly.
which is what we were just talking about. However, now that I'm further, I feel like I've refound that part of myself. Like, even now being a
Mm-hmm.
lecturer, I love getting up and delivering lectures to big rooms of students and making it
Yeah, so
interesting for
still the
them.
theater is there.
Yeah, it's
How
still
to
like a
project your
performance.
voice, yeah, and all of
Yeah,
that.
100%. Yeah, and it's like full circle back to that part
Mm.
of me. And I found, and speaking at events and running events, it's like I've refound my love for that
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah, sorry
Not
guys.
audition now.
Sorry, guys. I followed a very similar path because I also did a degree because of what you are supposed to
Yeah.
be doing, even though I entered that degree thinking, in a way, half of the degree was going to be acting, the other half was going to be like a serious degree. I've never pursued properly going into the acting degree or just studying acting or
Yeah.
anything like that because obviously it was like, you're not going to make any money. Remember that it's just
Yeah.
really volatile, like environments and stuff. You don't know what you're going to get or not. You need to make sure that you have your future, planned out, and then you're going to get money and blah, 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 blah. In a way, again, back then it was like a bummer. I'm going to have to do something else. What can I do? But reflecting on it, same thing. It's like I do not regret it because I'm now working in something that I really love,
Yeah.
and then there has been things that have happened or have been developed and tools that have been out there for us to be able to be in the spotlight in the way that we want it, creating the content that we want and in our
Yeah.
own terms. So that's why I
Yeah.
started my YouTube channel in
Yeah.
2012
Yeah.
and why we're doing this now. So
Yeah.
it kind of like worked out, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think I always, now that I'm older, I live by, like, I never want to regret anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so this ties into actually rejection. I would rather try and do something and be rejected now than not try.
Yeah.
Like, I live by the motto, like, especially if something scares me and I think this is going to be a scary situation to put myself out there,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm like scared, I'm like have everything inside of me telling me not to do it because it's a scary thing to do, I will
Mm-hmm.
do it even more so because I always think you'll regret the stuff you didn't do. You're not going to regret trying.
Yeah.
I would rather be rejected than not try at all. And part of me wishes I knew that when I was younger and I'd at least
Tried.
tried
Yeah.
some of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've always said like anything that you do, even if it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to be, it's going to teach you something. You're going to get something out of it that's going to be either a lesson or you're going to meet people that are going to help you in whatever thing that you're pursuing later on in life, or you're going to get a really fun story to tell, like
Yeah.
auditioning for the X Factor.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I just think, I feel like growing up, I don't know if it was the same for you and if it was the same in Spain or and whether it's depending on the area where you lived, but I felt like growing up, I was like told the standard jobs that you might do,
Yeah.
and anything outside of that, it was almost like they're a dreamer. It's like the pipe
Hmm.
dream of anything outside of the normal
Yeah.
jobs that you're expected to go into, like to uni and go to a particular job.
Hmm.
Knowing what I know about the world now, I do believe, obviously within some constraints,
Yeah.
but we're all capable of doing whatever we want. I do think
Hmm.
that. And I wish I'd have been told that and known that when I was young, because I think I'd have lived how I live now when I was younger, and
Hmm.
I'd have taken the chances and believed that I could make anything happen for myself. And I think things would have been different. I wouldn't change it because it's made me who I
Hmm.
am now, the journey that I've been on. But part of me wishes I'd have known when I was younger that there was. I wish I'd just been taught to have more of a cup half full than a cup half
Yeah.
empty.
I think like when you think about it, is I am thinking that obviously that mentality that was brought into us is coming from our parents,
Yeah.
that were like grew up in a, like in a times where maybe being able to get those jobs that they're telling us these are the good jobs, where it was not a possibility for them, so they were really
Yeah.
trying to push us towards those jobs. And I think
Yeah.
now, us having experienced that, we are like kind of like telling the next generation, it's, you don't have to have a degree,
Yes.
unless obviously it's law or
Yeah.
medicine, or
Yeah.
some of those
Yeah.
like that, to work in whatever you want. Most of the
Yeah.
things you're just going to learn on the job, and what you learn
Yeah.
in university, it's for nothing when you start the job, because like, no one taught me this, I have no idea how to do this. So I think it's like a lot of like generational things that are being pushed into the next generation from what we have
Yeah.
experienced growing up. And I think in a way that's what is making us more resilient as well, like going through all of these things. And we hope that the next generation listens from our mistakes, but that they
Yeah.
don't become lazy, because I'm
Yeah.
seeing the new generation becoming a little bit lazy with all
Yeah.
of this very easy money way, like of doing,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
make it like doing a normal job now is like, oh, but why should I if I can just
Yeah.
do this other thing? Well,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it's great that the other
Yeah.
possibility exists, but you also need to think that
Yeah.
that might not be there forever. If they close all those apps, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true, because I'm trying to think now who is going to be doing those jobs that none of them want to do, because someone's going to have to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People are going to need to be trained in certain jobs.
And for example, one of the things, like I remember when growing up, it was like, no, mechanic or plumber or all of that's like, no, those are only for kids that cannot go to university, that they have not finished high school. That's what they do. However, now with how AI is evolving,
Yeah.
those kids are going to be the rich ones
Yeah.
at one
Yeah.
point, because there is no way you can replace them with AI.
Yeah.
So,
And even now, it's so interesting to me, because you're totally right. I used to feel like it was like the naughtier children who ended up going to college to do those kind of things.
mhm.
But there is such good money. They are such good
Yeah,
careers. Like,
yeah,
I know loads of people that do those kind of trades, like
traits, yeah.
tradesmen, and they work for themselves. They get really good regular income.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a very good job.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because the stereotype at the time was like, if you can, you should be going and doing
Mm-hmm.
degree
Yeah,
programs,
yeah.
which
I mean,
actually, yeah.
what this taught me, I think we've deviated a little bit from the topic, but this is important.
It's fine.
When I bought my car here in the UK, every car that I bought at the beginning was a disaster. Had something, always had to take it to the garage to get fixed. And I said, like, I think I would have been better off by studying to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
All of this would have been much better, much cheaper.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should have got into a mechanic course, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, my husband always says now, like, he's such a believer in, like, the fact that we've lost the ability to do lots of tasks ourselves.
Yes.
Like, I feel like people used to be able to have, like, they had multiple skills that they learn to
Mm-hmm.
do that are just like life skills. And I'm not just talking about like basic life skills. I'm talking about being able to do your own. Like, my husband learns a lot. He just does a lot of YouTube, like
Mm-hmm.
watches a lot of
YouTube is
YouTube.
great.
He's learned how
I
to
love
do,
YouTube.
like, he builds things with wood. He's learned how to do all
Mm-hmm.
of that stuff, like properly build things. If there's something wrong with the car, he'll look up what parts he needs and he'll do it himself, and he'll watch videos on how to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of those skills are lost. They get lost over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, obviously there's certain mechanical things you can't do yourself. I think, like, it's so important, if we can, to teach generations all of
Mm-hmm.
those like skills, so that they
Yeah.
can at least try and do those
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
things.
And I mean, I think this is like, yeah, those kids that were told, like, because you're not good at school, you have to go into these trade jobs, and
Yeah.
that means like you are little. Let me tell you, that kind of like rejection from society, telling them like
Yeah.
you're not good enough, in a way, is leading them now to be able to do jobs that these people that like us, like we've gone to
Yeah.
uni and all of that, might be out of a job in
Yeah.
certain areas at some point if AI
Yeah.
keeps developing, and they are going to
Yeah.
be the ones laughing now and say like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
this was where I was supposed to be all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And even like your perspective just changes so much as you get older.
mhm.
And now I just realize that there are no bad jobs.
No,
In a way, like
at
if
all.
you enjoy your job and you get paid, that is a good job.
Yeah.
Like this, I feel like when we were young, we were taught like this specific job is good and you're accomplished if you have
Mhm.
this job. It was
Yeah.
almost like we were chasing this acceptance in
Mhm.
society for having a certain type of
Yeah.
job or like a status.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like now that I'm older, I couldn't care less about status.
Yeah.
I'd rather be doing something I love. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes. It's something that you
yeah.
enjoy. Talking about like, rejection and redirection, and we were talking about jobs and all of that. I remember, so if you have listened to podcasts in the past, you know that I work in the translation industry, and I started as a project coordinator, so like very very junior person, and it's been like slowly going up the ranks, as the years passed. And in 2018, my manager at the moment was let go, and they opened the position to anyone first within the company that wanted to get that position of like the department manager, and then advertise it outside if they couldn't find anybody. So obviously I applied, not because I really wanted to manage the team, but I didn't want anybody else to come in and mess things up as my previous manager had. So I wanted to make sure that whoever was going to be in charge, in that case me, was going to be able to make a really good place for the whole team to work in, and it was going to change things, right? So I did my interview, very weird questions. I answered them all, whatever. A few days passed, and then they called me and they said like, well, we have not chosen you. We have chosen this other person in your team because she has more years of experience within the industry. She was someone that was like, I think 15 years older than me. So she's going to be your manager. And I was pissed because first of all, I was thinking like, there is no way that she can do the job. But second of all, I was like, first time I'm really trying to do something good. I put my all in it. I was so sure that they were going to give me the job just because of like where the places where they usually involve me within the company.
Yeah.
And they said no. So I was really sad. And I was like, oh, no, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same. I might just have to start looking for another job because if nothing's going to change, I don't really enjoy working here right now. Then I went on holiday. And while I was on holiday is when this person started as officially, right? And one of the things is like in the translation localization industry, there is no way for us to stop. We have requests coming in all the time, and our customers always want things really fast, right? Obviously, especially I was working back then only in life sciences content. So many products that wanted to get on the market, many clinical research, clinical trials, and things like that, things that needed to go fast, right?
Yeah.
So we were receiving like, okay, new project approved, new project approved, and the team was not able to manage them all because it was like a smaller team. So it was her job to organize things and say like, okay, then you take these two, or start this one maybe tomorrow, and then you take these two or whatever and organize things.
Yeah.
When I came back from holiday, I opened my inbox and everything was like, Soraya will take care of it and organize it and decide who's taking it when she's back from holiday. And I was like, what the hell? Like, excuse me, like that is not my job, right?
Yeah.
So those 2 weeks that I was on holiday, when I came back, she said that she couldn't do the job, that it was too much for her. So then what happened? And they called me and they said like, well, we have thought about this and we think you would be the best person for the job. And I was like, what made you change your mind? And I was like, well, the 2 weeks failure that we have had, and we really apologize. We should have thought about it more into capacity, like capabilities of the candidate other than the years of experience within the industry, because not everybody is made to be a manager, even though people want to be. And I was like, okay, good. They gave me a salary raise. They did this, and I've managed to do something like really, really, really good with the team. But that kind of like shows you like you're very bumped, even though you know that you're the best person, you're really mad. But then things might end up working out for you. And even though it's not in the circumstances that you wanted, and even though it should have been a red flag for me, saying like, this is how they treated me in this company, I should have left. It worked out.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's reminded me how similar it is when I've always wanted to be a lecturer. Although there's been, to be fair, there's been a few examples of this throughout my career where I feel like I've always kind of known where I wanted to go, but I've never had a plan of getting there. I've always just like thought, I'm just gonna see what opportunities come. I'm gonna look for opportunities and I'll take them. I've never been like a person who has it all mapped out from start to finish. But I've realized that I've met people along the way who then reappear further down the line. So something might not work out. So, for example, my first graduate job was at Staffordshire University in the marketing department, and I did a project at their graduation. They had a film crew come in and they asked me to be the presenter for all the live videos and stuff of the graduation ceremony. So I met the film crew who were with me that week, and then my job there was temporary, so I ended up getting another job and I moved. But at that time I wasn't really in a job that I exactly wanted, but I needed a job. So it was still in the same field, still in the marketing field, but it wasn't quite the direction I wanted to head. I'd been like a sidestep rather than a step forward because I needed to move from that company. And then the film company reached out to me and they had a job going within their business. And because I had worked with them, I was the first person that came to mind. So I was able to move into that role. So, and then the same with me becoming a lecturer. The person who eventually employed me into my lecturer role had been my lecturer, one of my lecturers when I was a student. So I think thinking about it now, how you show up throughout your life is really important, because when I was at university, I was always a very like good student, very driven, very engaged with my lecturers. So my lecturers remembered me years later. If I would reach out to them, they would know who I was. And I think it's so important to always show up and be the best version of yourself, because you never know. It could be anybody that you meet, you could have any opportunities. If you put your all into it, you never know where that's going to land you at another point in life.
And I always say, like, this is something that I go by all the time, and I tell every single team that I have, is like, remember to always be kind with every single person that crosses your path, especially obviously work-wise. Even though they are talking to you very nasty and you just really want to like say a couple of things to them, you always need to be professional and be nice, because you never know who might be reading those emails or listening to those calls, or at one point you're gonna have to get a job where they are working right now, and they might ask for reference, or they might be saying like, we need to look for someone. Oh, actually, I know, like, it happened to you. I know this person, this person, this person. If people enjoy working with you, or they know how well you work, it could give you an opportunity later down the line. So always be kind.
I completely agree with that. And just like, you should always be, like you said, regardless, because we all know that throughout life as well, we meet people or we have to work with people who may not be the most pleasant people to work with. We might not have a good experience with them, but I always think you've got to act in a way that you'd be proud of. And I always think that's really important, because sometimes like people can try and drag us into their way of being, or maybe not bring out the best side in us. But it's so important to always just act in a way that you're proud of, because if you've done that, then you are being authentic to who you actually are, rather than who that person brings out in you, which might not be your best self. So then people are going to know you for you and what you're like and how you handle situations, rather than some people are provokers on purpose. So you've got to be careful with those kind of people.
Yeah, you have to. One of the things that I really like about the topic that we're talking about today is, like, this year when I started like my Be Timeless series, there's one of the things that I always put this example, and I think it just illustrates so well the whole concept, right? I always say that life is like driving. right? You get into your car and you start driving, you put on your GPS, this is my destination, you're following it, and then suddenly the road that is in front of you is closed and you need to take the diversions, which, funny enough, diversion in Spanish is diversión, which means fun, and diversions are never fun. They're never fun. I hate diversions. But obviously, these diversions are going to still take you to whatever you want to end up getting, but maybe it's going to take you longer.
Yeah.
Or it's going to drive you through some places that you've never seen before. And maybe you're like, maybe next weekend I can come here. This looks quite cute. And you might be discovering new places, new people, but you're going to end up at some point into that destination that you had put on in the first place. And it's exactly the same with life. I remember when I was going to do, what year at uni? The degree that I did was 6 years because it was 3 degrees into one. And I had to do 2 years abroad. My first year, I did it in Hong Kong. And my second year, I wanted to do it in a French-speaking country because I wanted to improve my French. So I was going to go to Belgium to study translation in Belgium. And I had everything ready. And the month before I had to travel, my university told me, we're not going to let you go anymore to Belgium because your French level is not great. We've talked to your French teacher and you're going to fail everything. And I told them, well, that's my problem. The whole idea for me is to be able to get into a position where I have to use French and improve it. And if I fail and I need to repeat another year here, I don't care. I'll do it. That's fine. And they said, no. Choose from the list an English-speaking school, and then you go. Obviously, a month before we're supposed to leave, there is not that many more choices, right? So it was either Canada, which I was like, too cold for me in the winter. Even though it looks beautiful, I don't really want to go to Ottawa. Thank you. And then the other one was UEA, the University of East Anglia here in the UK. And I was not really thrilled because I was like, the UK, I've already been to the UK. It's not my favorite place in the world. I don't really want to go there. But
that's very rude.
But it had, I mean, if I could choose like any country in the world, probably I won't be choose to study in the UK. I will choose somewhere else, right? It's like, it's not like, I mean, at that time I was very, very annoyed, because I was like, seriously, like I had my apartment, I had everything. It was all ready.
That's so bad.
So bad. So I had to choose. I went, okay, let's do UEA. Let's go there. Whatever, found accommodation. I'm in the uni. I'll arrive my first day. I was like, no, not happy. But it turned out to be one of the best years I've ever had at uni. Like, I've got to do cheerleading, which is something that I always wanted to do my whole life. And in Spain, I couldn't because we didn't have cheerleaders. I got to meet friends that I still have now. One of them is Millie, that you know. I got to do so many things that probably I wouldn't have been able to do if I had gone to Belgium. And then I ended up moving here a few years later, and I could just keep in touch with everybody. I could use a bank account that I had. Kind of like everything ended up being set up for me to be able to come back without having to do much paperwork. So that thing that was so annoying for me, and that I was just not looking forward to come, and I was just like, this is going to be the worst year of my life, ended up being one of the best things that I could have done. So, sometimes you might think like this is the worst thing that can happen to me, and be actually exactly the place or the thing that you were supposed to do all along.
And timing is everything as well. Like when I was at uni, I always thought I wanted to have my own business. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my own business, but it was right, and I never had the idea of what I wanted, and I never felt like I had my niche or my specialism to be able to do it. Like, I came out of my marketing degree, and obviously I could start a marketing agency, but I didn't just want to create a marketing agency the same as every other one that I would have to compete with. And I felt like years, like I worked in places, and I never was quite fulfilled with just working for somebody else. And then I feel like I would like beat myself up that I hadn't started a business, or I would think, I remember in a few jobs saying like, oh, I think I'm going to leave, like talking to, even owners of businesses I worked for and said, I think I'm going to leave. Like, I don't feel very fulfilled. I feel like would be better off starting something of my own. And sometimes they'd be like, well, what are you going to do? You know,
Mm. Mm.
I felt like I never had an answer to that question because I didn't know, but I knew that I would be doing something of my own. I knew that that's what would fulfill me. And I think now, like, obviously now I ended up in the pageant industry. I ended up learning more about personal branding and how my marketing degree feeds into pageantry and how it can support women specifically. And that helped me start my business. And now, like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense for me to have a business now that's about that because the timing is right.
Yeah.
And I never could have started that before. And I think
Yeah.
you just have to trust that you will
Yeah.
get there, and it might just not be when you expected or
Mm-hmm.
at what point, and it's probably going to be better that
When it's
way.
supposed to be. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's also, we say many, many times, like, it's never too late to do something. You can try to do something and fail and
yeah,
try again with a different approach later on and do it.
yeah,
There's many examples of like very successful businesses like Amazon. That was not started until Jeff Bezos was like 30 years old, right? Probably he had like some ideas of what he wanted to do before, and maybe he tried with a couple of things and it didn't work. And then he created this at a
yeah,
point where he was like, okay, I have nothing to lose. Let's do it. I'm living with my parents and saving all the money that I'm doing and reinvesting into the company and see how it goes. The company is doing great. There is more
yeah,
things, and now it's massive.
yeah,
So yeah, timing is everything. You don't really need to do something at 22, 23,
yeah,
24. It's
yeah,
okay if you wait a little bit longer and do it later. That doesn't mean that it's going to be worse. Probably it's going to be actually better because you have had that extra life experience that is putting you into a position,
yeah,
like you said, of not failing and having a very successful business.
yeah. And I think, like, you know how I said about earlier about fear of failure and
Mm-hmm.
how we should do things anyway. I think it's just made me think I'd like to remind people, if anybody's listening to this, that even though I'm saying that, it doesn't always mean that I feel that way. So,
Oh, of
like,
course.
at the moment, for example, like, I'm obviously running some events, and then I'm also have my a business. And actually, like, at the events, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be successful. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I would
Mhm.
regret if I didn't try.
Yeah.
And so like I said earlier, that means I'm going all in.
Yeah.
If there's moments where things aren't going as you planned, that's really hard. Like, there are going to be hard moments,
And you're
but my husband,
entitled to feel those feelings. And
yeah, and with everything, like, and my husband said to me, and I think sometimes hearing it from somebody else really helps as well. He just said to me, like, I want Mila, that's my daughter, for anyone that doesn't know, I would rather Mila see her mum trying at everything she wants to do in life than not trying and being
mm-hmm.
somebody who doesn't put themselves out there and doesn't try to do the things they want to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right, you know, luckily, I think it is going to be a success. It's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
there's bumps in the road. There's times where you're going to feel like that. And it's okay to be scared. And I think you've just got to trust that it's fine. It's fine, whatever happens. And it's
Yeah.
always better to try, always try. And if you fail, that's okay. Like you said,
Absolutely.
all successful people fail
Yeah.
before they are successful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we
Yeah.
have many examples. And as we said, it's okay to feel the feelings, to feel scared, to feel sad when something doesn't work. It's okay to even like take a week just to be like crying in bed. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. We just need
Yeah.
to remember that, and then we need to get back up and say like, okay, this didn't work, or didn't work
Yeah.
out the way that I wanted. Move on. Let's find something else.
Yeah.
You're gonna find something else, that being like another job, like another project, another boyfriend, another girlfriend, anything.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always something.
And as long as you just keep going, And if you really want something, I do believe you'll get it if you just keep going, because I've had days where like that, and then I had a day where my other business, I got asked to do something fantastic, and I was like, oh my god, wow, like I've got this opportunity now.
Yeah.
And it's so up and down, and there's going to be days where it feels hard, there's going to be days where it feels good, and you're like, wow, this is it, I've made it. But then the next day you might feel like you haven't again.
Yeah.
I feel like you'll feel like that throughout your whole life, and I think you've got to enjoy that part, enjoy the journey of it all as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think maybe to end this, we might go with the story of this podcast in a way.
Yeah.
On how, like, at least for me, that's something that I've wanted to do for many, many years, but I didn't want to do anything alone. I felt like the market is out there, but podcast, I think there is like a great growth within it. But I was like, I think I have so many things to say, but I don't want to be a monologue. I just don't want to be by myself. And who's going to want to do a podcast with me? Like, I was like, let's be honest. Like, who is going to want to do a podcast with me that wants to talk about the things that I want to talk about, that we can joke around and we can talk about like more serious topics and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I wish, put it on the universe. I wish, whatever. And then there she came. And she asked me, like, I was thinking that this ties so well with your platform. Would you want to? And I was like, yeah. You don't need to finish that sentence that you're typing. Yes.
Well, it's what you said though. Like, I started this obviously, but my first thing that I tried to do my own was like a monologue, and it didn't sit right with me either. And so the interviews were fine, but I felt like it needed somebody else. There was a missing piece for me, because sitting there and talking to yourself, you don't have that same you don't have that same interaction. When you're listening to something, it's nicer to listen to a natural conversation than somebody monologuing to me.
Yeah.
So I think this is a much nicer scenario.
A conversation versus a brain dump.
Yeah. And I would start with one topic and end with something else. I'd be gone off onto a totally different direction.
I mean, we kind of like did it in the middle for this episode as well. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But we came back. We circled back.
But that's natural. That's also a natural conversation. If you're in a conversation with a friend, that's how it goes. Yeah. So I think that's nice, and you can listen to it and feel like you're with us, and you're part of the, you're with your friends and you're having a conversation. I think that's really nice. So definitely worked out for the best.
Yes, it did. It did. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. So thank you, everybody that has been listening. Please remember to follow us on our socials, so on Instagram and TikTok at Females Striving Over 30. We also have these interviews on video format on YouTube at Females Striving Over 30. Everything is exactly the same. And remember that if you wanted to participate, if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, please make sure that you email us or send us DMs either on TikTok or on Instagram. And we will be happy to either have you in as a guest, to have you call in for whatever topic is that we are talking at that specific moment, or to talk about the topic that you suggest. And yes, so I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.